Welcome to my May 2022 Jumpers Guide. There's recently been an update to the game and there have been changes in how jumping works. So let's start with the basics of how to jump and the changes that have been made to jumping. If we go up to your profile, into settings, management, and then scroll down here to create a new character, you then press that and then you can create an account in one of these. But stop, don't do that yet. That's just the absolute basics of how to create a jumper. The jumper account that you create will then have one of these items, which is a beginner's teleport, which means you can teleport anywhere on the map before you are level 8. And then the very precious beginner's teleport, which lasts for 10 days and allows you to teleport to the newest kingdom that has just opened with the head start that you have built up. Now, the main changes are, though, you can now only obtain a beginner's teleport in the preparation seasons, which is up the top here, top left, preparation seasons, which is all of these maps here. There are two differences between this, and that is maps that are within the first week will have an event where you can get up rewards as you power up to 1.5 million, which of course is impossible for a jumper. And then of course the other preparation phases will not have that event, but will have other rewards or events that you may be looking for. But we'll talk more about that later. The other important change to understand is when you are looking at a new kingdom. This one is 1 day and 5 hours old. Kingdoms now have a jumper cap. We don't know exactly how many jumpers can go into that kingdom before the cap is met, but I've heard stories that it has been filled up in 1 hour and 30 minutes, and I've heard stories that it's been filled up in 4 or 5 hours. So it is very important that you jump into a kingdom that is less than 3 hours old, or even younger if you can. This is unbelievably important. If you're not confident, if this is your first jump, maybe consider jumping when your jumper has 3 days left, so then you may have another opportunity should you mess up that you can jump again. If we look though on my current jumper, I'm pushing it right to the limit, where I have 2 days and 11 hours left, and so if I do not jump on the next available kingdom and I miss getting a slot, then I have ruined this jumper. It's rubbish and it is no use. I will not be able to jump it. So let's now move on to planning. So there are a few options before you start your jumper that you should consider. Firstly, you can obviously go off into Discord or Facebook groups and find an organised jump, join their Discord, and they will have instructions for you to follow and they will help you. Or like me, and on this jump, you can jump solo, where I say you're on your own, but then of course you're risking that you will find a decent alliance and people to be with. The best scenario, in my opinion, though, is of course jump with friends. There are a few things, though, I would like you to think about before you make your jumper. And that's if you want to be a cavalry account or an infantry account. But there's lots of videos out there on YouTube that will support you making those decisions. The next thing I want you to think about is in your commanders, how you want to balance them. Do you want strong peacekeepers? Do you want strong farmers? Or gatherers, I mean? Or do you want to sacrifice those and have a sunset team that is viable early in the game? But you need to have an idea of what you want your account to look like. If this account is basically going to be a farm, then of course you want your gatherers. If it's going to be just a balanced free-to-play account, then as you say, you want some half-decent peacekeepers, at least a couple of gatherers, especially this one here, and then of course you then want some people that can help you in expedition and sunset, like Sun Tzu. So you may have more of a balanced idea of what you want. You also need to consider whether you want to go into the leadership when you jump. In my opinion, nothing hurts the progress of your account more than being in leadership. But there's times that I have gone into leadership. What I would say is to be very strict, that you just want to be given one task of which you are good at and you carry that out. For example, building the flags, but then you have nothing to do with running the sanctums, and you have nothing to do with the events, and you have nothing to do with the politics or the diplomacy. So if you go into leadership, I would strongly advise that you just gain one task. There's also now, in the new way of jumping, we can see usually when I was showing you a jumper that's 8 days old, I'd have much higher power than this. But because this jumper was produced further into the preparation phase, I am not looking to gain power. If we go onto my other jumper account though, which is this farm, you'll see that I have made efforts to gain some power by spreading out the power among the commanders, which I used to do a lot of before the latest change, but I will show you why I'm doing it on this account. So this account is jumping in the Lohar and Strategic Reserve stage. Oh, sorry. Let's just do this quick. That means it's within the first week of the game. So if we go on to the events, it means it has the Glory of Battle event, which means, although I think incredibly difficult now, that if I get the power of this jumper to 350k plus, then there's some nice rewards, and I think worth 30 hour speed up, it's worth spreading out that power and opening up the gold keys. If we go back though to my main jumper as it is at the moment, you'll notice that I've just gone for stockpiling and not spreading any power among my commanders. This is because I'm going to be more interested in the Who Reigns Supreme event when I jump to my new kingdom. The Who Reigns Supreme event has changed in that you no longer carry over the advantage you had as a jumper into the new kingdom, into that event. You start from 0 like everybody else. So if you had a 600k jumper and you get to 610k, an account with 20k that's brand new wouldn't be ahead of you in that event now. So that's why instead of opening gold keys, I've just built up a large stock ready for when I make my jump. Now let's talk about supporting your jumper. So there are a few options for this. I always like to have what I call a fort buddy at an absolute minimum. So let's just have a little look at what that looks like. So I won't go into the account at the moment, but the fort buddy there, and I've got him to 300k when I used him, and he was strong enough, I think, to take down certainly a fort 1 and a fort 2 nearing the end of the jump, just to help the jumper along. Also, he could tank the smaller sanctums and help boost my my main account. The other support option is obviously to have a farm with you and you jump together, but of course, which could be useful during low half or dropping blues for your main, etc. But I have chosen to put my farm into a separate kingdom away from my main jumper and my support account. The support account I have though for this account is something new I've been trying out, which is what I really prefer than more than a fort buddy. It's really an account or a nesting account, where I went full effort with a jumper into a new kingdom, became a strong part of that kingdom, got involved in Sunset, got involved in an alliance, but one of the lower down alliances. I have then used my influence of this new account, this nesting account, to gain advantages for my jumper, such as altar rewards. Excuse me. So if we go back to this account and go into items, you'll notice I've got a huge amount of gems, and you'll also notice that I have some of the altar rewards. And if you look at the speed ups here, the 30-minute speed ups that you get for taking an altar, you'll see that this account has had a ginormous boost from this method. But this is quite an advanced strategy, so don't worry about this unless you've been invited to do this or you're willing to make a jumper, jump it, gain influence, and then create a nest for your jumper. This is quite an advanced strategy, but I'll talk more about this account in another video going forward. Let's have a look though. And now I want to talk about, so before you make the jumper, there is a really important option that you can take advantage of. Let's just jump onto my fort body here. So when an account is 30 days old or so and hasn't been logged into, it should gain this buff, which you can then take into your new jumper account. The buff is called New Journey and is very valuable, as you will see. So here we are, New Journey. So 500 gems and 5 gold keys and 1 targeted teleport. You'd then press go and then pick where you wish to start your kingdom. So rather than how I showed at the start of the video, this is a superior, although more advanced strategy to get a better start for your jumper. Just quickly talk about civilizations. I have tested and I've done many jumps. Obviously my fort buddy here was with Boudica with Britain, but for me it comes down to really I can't beat Sun Tzu. I think everyone should be China as their first civilization. What you do after that is up to you, but I personally don't think it can be beaten. Sun Tzu is just too broadly useful through expeditions, through sunset, through events in the game, and the 5% boost to build in until you are much higher level is just too valuable to turn down. So that's new value. We've talked about support farm. So as you can see, I've got a farm jump in as well as my main. Again, I just wanted to mention that as say if you had multiple phones and multiple devices, some people have multiple farms, but I personally am only going to have one farm. But I really strongly suggest that you have at least one farm to support you, especially if you're free to play. So the first thing, let's imagine that you've just set up your new farmer now. Your new jumper account. Let's hope you've got the New Journey reward. The first thing you should then look at is redeem codes. So a quick Google search, or to go to the official notice board and into the official forum is a good place to look at that. Early talents, that's really whatever you are. If you're not, even if you're like me, not trying to spread power, it's still hugely important that you gain the quick study, which is a bonus to experience, the insight, which is reduced cost to attacking a barbarian, and then of course trophy hunter. So really important to get yourself, well, unfortunately I haven't, but if you're lucky enough to get yourself 2 peacekeepers, those talents are hugely important and need to be invested in early. One of the reasons why I used to have Boudica. What I want you to think about with your peacekeepers though is for every million experience you get, what a huge boost it is to have that extra 15%. Let's now look. Solo. Right. Now if we go here, there are obviously different choices to jump alone or to jump in a group. My preference is to jump alone, and the reason I like to do this is then I have a private alliance, and within that alliance I can then win the daily donations. So here's what the daily donation look like. It's an 8-hour speed up plus some resources and then 10,000 in experience points. But more importantly, that if you start your account from a Monday to a Wednesday, you should then also be able to win the weekly donations. So sorry, I should have deleted these. Hold on. Weekly donations, weekly donations, which is just unbelievably important. 2 times 24. Now I know if you go into some large jumper groups, they want you to stay together because they want you to become friends, they want you to work together, but you would then have to compete in the donation prizes for these really valuable rewards. You might also think, well, I'm going to get some chests and such like, but remember, in a brand new alliance, that's been set up for you to jump into. The chests that you will get are incredibly low gift level, so even if they were dropping gold chests, you may not get as strong as rewards from jumping on your own. My preference is to jump on my own, but of course, if you're invited to a group, it could also be important that you're seen to be doing your part and helping that group out. Next, I want to talk about is Lohar's third skill. Lohar's third skill from early in the game is unbelievably important. If you get this to 70%, then just imagine that for every million experience that you gain with Lohar, you get a bonus of 700,000 experience points. I know much later in the game these experience points have no value, but early in the game, especially if you're interested in Sunset, especially if you're interested in having 2 commanders as free to play at level 60, that Lohar's third skill is unbelievably important. It's in the same level of how broken Master Strategy is on Sun Tzu, and how broken where's Matilda? And how broken Matilda's third skill is in Sunset. Just unbelievably unbalanced. Hugely important. Also, if you combine Lohar with Boudica and the correct talent, that's over 100% boost to your experience. But I would rather, if you have Boudica and Lohar, I say you'd be weakening your Sunset team. So think carefully before putting those two together, or as you say, unless Boudica does have advantages for a free-to-play player if you want to continue taking on high-level forts, but I think that's for another video. Let's have a look. So let's just go through some of the other awards that you can get. Hopefully they're not going to be too far down here. So there's the generous supplies, which you've already spoken about. You get one of those. You get those for upgrading. There's a redeem code, which I've already spoken about. But what we want is, here we are. The 200 gems, always get this. All you have to do is go into the community tab and connect to something like Reddit, and you get 200 gems for that. Another important one is when it gives you the opportunity to praise the game. You want to praise the game. It doesn't matter what rating you give, or even if you just click straight back to the game. That's a gold key and I think another 200 gems. So keep that in mind. Now, on this account, I used to say to go for achievements and push achievements as hard as you can for those extra gold keys. Because of course I was interested in pushing the level of the jumper as high as I possibly could to get as close to the 1.5 million as possible. But now that I would suggest that you stockpile, I'm not so interested in the achievements. If I thought I could get to 600k, perhaps I would be looking at a slightly different strategy of going to the first week and trying to get 600k, but I no longer think using a huge amount of time on achievements is worth it like it used to. You will, of course, get those achievements as you land in your new kingdom, usually without even trying as time passes. Now, the expedition, again, I used to, in my older videos, say to rush siege units and to develop your commanders, which made getting further in the expedition easier. I used to be able to get past 20 if I was really going for it. But really, I think to just do the best you can without using any training speed ups or opening your gold keys. I've only got to 14. What I would say though is the shop is a case that you need to plan for. If you're interested in Sunset, you must get the British legendary Ethelfled, because she's fantastically important to your Sunset team. If you're interested in long term on the account and legendary commanders, then you should be buying only gold stars from the medal shop. If you're broadly interested in all sorts of things, or you're a newer player to the game, then by all means do what you want with your points. But gold stars will eventually become a problem for a free-to-play player, especially if you want two legendary commanders over level 50. You're going to have to be buying as many gold stars from the medal store as you can. So keep that in mind if you're looking for long term. So, of course, the basics of jumping, you get all of your city buildings to level 7, but you cannot go past level 7 or you will forfeit your immigration teleport. Sometimes you can't get your castle to level 7, but don't worry, it doesn't matter, don't spend gems on it. Watchtowers will eventually be done as well. Should you want to do the daily objective of doing a building, all you need to do is go onto the hammer here, place one piece of road, boom, like that, and that will complete the daily building task. You don't need to leave like a lumber mill on level 1 so that you can put it up through the days. You can just build one piece of road. Of course, important during your jump is to complete the daily objectives every day, but don't open that gold key, please. Right, so that's just your daily grind. Of course, if you're lucky enough to have a mini game, which we just have, then of course please do the maximum on that if you can do it at level 7. Some of them you can't, but the last mini game you could play at level 7. Let's now look at caves and villages. Of course, we now have to, when we used to be able to go to the old maps, we didn't have any fog, but now unfortunately we do. So it's important though to make progress on your caves. Your caves and villages the best you can, and that is because of the excellent rewards of gold keys. So let's have a look. Where are they all? Here we go. So claiming 8 villages, gold key. 40 villages, gold key. 5 caves, gold key. 90 villages, gold key. And as you can see, really worth pushing as much of the fog as you can as a jumper. It's really annoying, but it's worth doing. Unfortunately, you'll have to start again. But what I would say is do not spend your kingdom maps. Only reason you should ever spend a kingdom map is if A, you're lazy, or B, you are in charge of placing a centre fortress or building flags. You may need to very quickly gain a view of the map as quickly as you can because you need to know what's going on. But otherwise, if you save these, they can be converted to 5-minute speed ups much later in the game. But I bet if you follow this account, I bet I use them because I am a little lazy. Then of course, these are really important. So I haven't spoken about VIP yet because as I'm stockpiling, I have not been pushing my VIP because I do not want to spend gems on it because I don't know what I'm going to get from these. But let's open them now for you here and let's see if we can get some VIP points from the caves. Really, you want to only get your VIP points from the caves, but then at the same time, to get to 6 or 7 is where you should be aiming to go as fast as you can. But how you do that is up to you. I'm going to hold on to my gems at the moment, but I'll talk a little bit about that later. So let's open this caves here, 24 of them. Wow, 4 gold keys. That's brilliant. 7 speed ups, 11 epic heads. Brilliant. Only 800 points though. So that's a bit unlucky. So come on, 40 of these. Bang. 44,000. That's okay. Only 600. Oh, disaster. But never mind. So let's go and spend that in my VIP. Oh, didn't get me far. But the reason why I've only done medium and high caves though so far is that the way that the maps work. So if you click on the kingdom you're in, here we are, you'll notice the shape. So 2 is slightly to the right. Let's go to the next kingdom. 2 is now to the left. Let's go to that one. 2 is now in the middle. Let's go to that one. And 2 is really punched up in the right. They're the 3 different maps. These maps all have their own caves and villages. The caves, though, if you get more than, I forget the amount, 300 or so caves or 400 caves, you then no longer get high and medium rewards. That's why you only want to do medium and high rewards here. Jump to a different map type and then do again the medium and high rewards before you start doing low caves. So a basic one, but one that we all should need to know. Now let's look at the really juicy stuff for a jumper. So this account is currently during a seasonal event. This is a ginormous boost to the account because of the epic heads, which I've already got. The epic heads, of which I already have 74. And of course all these fantastic rewards, as well as the rewards you can get for exchanging goods. Let's see, I've had 19 gold keys from this. So jumping during a seasonal event is ginormous. You also notice that I'm saving my gems. So you can also jump during the More Than Gems event. Maybe more for a pay-to-play player, but certainly it can be of huge advantages. I'm hoping that after my first week of New Kingdom, we might just be around the time I'm expecting a More Than Gems event. So I'm hoping to get the best of both worlds on this account. It's of course difficult to time to get a seasonal event sometimes, but in general the patch will happen, then 7 days later the event will start, but then you need to make sure you're aiming that you get at least the 2x24 from your donations prize. Do as much as you can on the seasonal. If you're doing the seasonal though, remember you need a fort buddy at the absolute minimum, or you will struggle with a lot of the tasks, such as collecting alliance gifts, doing barbarian forts. And you'll also see, this is rare, do you see how I'm using Rune of Nature, resource production plus 7%. That's because jump accounts also struggle with the very last one here, resource output. Getting that to 300 or 500,000 is difficult and needs every boost that you can. So, I've spoken a bit about this. So I'm saving my gems in the hope of getting More Than Gems event. This will hurt me, however, though, in VIP, as you do not really want to miss out on the building and research boosts, especially that 10%, the extra 5% I mean at VIP 6. So it's a trade-off, but I think More Than Gems is going to drop soon. If More Than Gems drops during my first week and I can't get it, then I'll just spend my gems and boost my VIP a bit. But that's another thing you need to consider. The last thing I want to talk about though is getting zeroed. So sometimes it happens. Unfortunately, as a jumper, sometimes you can't clear resource nodes, and that upsets people. Or sometimes they just zero you. But let's have a little look. So I lost 9,000 troops, but remember, you do get given some of those troops back, and it also turns it, if you're stockpiling, into speed ups and resource packs which you can take with you. But don't do this on purpose. I really have researched it. I've done the numbers. You can't trick this or get more out of it. You will, if you're zeroed, you always lose. The only advantage that someone has pointed out is if you were, say, an infantry account, that of course within those 9,000 I lost other units other than infantry, and I now have those turned into 70% of those into speed ups, which I could then of course use for more infantry. But it's not worth it. There's no scenario where you get zeroed and come out of it better, but at least this function is in the game that should something happen to you, you do get about 60 or 70% of it back, which is nice. I think I also had my players killed a little bit back here. I can't remember where. But, and I say, I've had some more resources from that as well. So, I hope this helps. I hope this gives you a broad idea of what I'm planning, of what you can do, some of the more advanced tips. And I hope this helps your jump. I hope you're not on your own like me. But then, I say, it's up to you how you jump. But I say, it can get a bit boring after 10 days on your own. So, good luck on your jump. Any questions, please put them below. This is only the first draft. And I say, I may be looking to update this video a bit more regularly, or certainly as every time there is a patch. Thanks for watching.